I am totally unprepared to do this video, and that is the way it should be. I've got my coffee. Here's proof. In a nice sippy cup, which you couldn't see, but that's a sippy cup with a straw, plastic cup, because I shake so much that I can't hold a regular cup, or I'll spill it. So my life is built around sippy cups, which are ingenious. I used to have so much stress about spilling my drink, and now my mom said, years ago, she said, why don't we get you some sippy cups, little 36-year-old? Let's get you some sippy cups. And I was like, that's a great idea. Let's get sippy cups. So now I just use sippy cups for everything, and I have a lot less to worry about. In fact, I don't really have much to worry about at all. I'll tell you, you may have been following my little epic journey with my psychiatrist dumping me because they said my case was too complex for their office to handle. Because in order to handle my case, they would need to consult with doctors who they do not have connections with, and they're unable to provide care for me anymore. So they dumped me. I am no longer on their roster, except they'll help me get prescriptions and whatnot until I get a new doctor. And on Monday, it was believed by my mother, if no one else, that my condition was so bad that I needed to have an emergency psychiatric visit, which we had. My RN recommended that I see a Vanderbilt psychiatric evaluator so that they could determine if I needed partial hospitalization program, which is kind of like, it's also called inpatient or intensive outpatient program. It's like school for crazy people. You go from 9 to 3, you do training, you learn coping skills, you do dialectical behavioral therapy, and you share your feelings and do art classes and whatnot, and it's designed to provide support. Anyway, so I went to I've been nervous about this evaluation, as some of you know. I even got a haircut. I mean, I don't cut my hair. I don't even fucking wash my hair, okay? I mean, I don't even shower unless I feel like it. I got a haircut just to look more normal for this evaluator. Totally manipulative. And I don't make any, I'm not hiding that. Because I did not want to be evaluated that I needed inpatient care, because I don't want to go inpatient because I don't think I need to go there. I've expressed that earlier. So here's what happened. Me and this wonderful evaluator at Vanderbilt Medical Center, this is not meant to put down my previous psychiatrist, but just to make, because I love them. I think they're fucking amazing. I mean, I love them in so many ways. I love them inappropriately. I want to rub up against their legs and shit. But like, and I respect them, and I appreciate the help they've given me so much, and they're just incredible people. I mean, they're multidimensional, they're kind, they're whatever, but they're a little shop, and this little shop decided that my bipolar case is so complex that they can't handle it in their office, and they sent me to Vanderbilt, which is one of the top medical centers in the world, which just happens to be in Nashville, where I live. And so I go to this evaluation today. I talked to this wonderful woman named Ronnie. We talked for, I don't know, an hour, maybe, could have been 2, something like that. We are cracking up, kicking it back, laughing, talking about all kinds of stuff, in and outside of strict therapeutic conversations. She even said, she's like, I like you non-therapeutically, but in an appropriate way. We didn't cross the line with each other or anything. But her evaluation, the Vanderbilt University or Vanderbilt Medical Center evaluator, her evaluation is that I am perfectly fine and I don't need any psychiatric help at this time. Which, look, it's not to say that I don't ever need psychiatric help, okay? I have bipolar disorder with psychotic features, or my latest diagnosis is, which my last psychiatrist kept private from me, but I found out anyway, is bipolar type schizoaffective disorder. So, no joke mental disorders. Bipolar combined with schizophrenia, I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I have some crazy things going on inside my mind sometimes, but most of the time, and in most ways, this evaluator is right. And I have coping skills. I know that if I feel suicidal, I call 911 and I go to a hospital and I go to a psych and I go to an inpatient psych ward for a week until the doctor thinks I'm ready to go, or 3 weeks or whatever it is. And I've done that like 12 times. I mean, I take this shit seriously. When stuff goes wrong, I go to the hospital. I have a proven fucking track record of checking myself into psych hospitals. In fact, only one time or maybe two times out of my 12 times that I've been to psych hospitals did I not check myself in. The vast majority of times I've spent time in a psych hospital was because I decided to be there. And, and they agreed that I needed to be there. But the point is, this evaluator today, even if I wanted to go into their their partial hospitalization program, they wouldn't accept me because they don't think that I need that level of care, and I'd be taking up a spot for somebody who does. And even if I wanted to go inpatient for some reason, they wouldn't accept me. I mean, unless I said I was suicidal, which I'm not. But if I said, hey, I really want to go inpatient, they'd be like, well, we really can't allow you to do that because you'd be taking up someone else's spot who really needs to be there, And I don't want to make too many conclusions from this. And and I love what this woman said at the end, and I really agree with her. She said, so you don't qualify for the partial hospitalization program level of care. So that's the good news. And then she paused and she said, and the bad news. And I said, I agree. If you said right now, Matthew, you need to go into inpatient care and stay there because you're a danger to yourself or others, I would say, here's my cell phone, here's my wallet, let's go. I'll spend a week, I'll spend 3 weeks, let's do what we need to do. I mean, I want to receive the level of care that I need, but I don't want to waste time in a psych hospital when I don't need to be there. And this, believe it or not, is a matter of moral conscience. I do not want to take up a bed in a psych hospital where somebody else who needs it more could be there. I mean, that's just not right. That's just not right. I mean, that's life and death, serious shit right there, because there are people that are suicidal right now. And I've been one of those people before, and I've needed to be in those beds, and I've been able to get into them, you know what I mean? Or they've made room for me, even when there wasn't room, because they knew that I needed to be there. And I mean, that may have saved my life. So, like, I wouldn't feel good about that. But anyway, so I don't want to make too many conclusions, but I do want to say, I don't know if I can even remember what I wanted to say. Let me drink some more coffee. That's a probably a good idea. Let's take this one sip at a time. Taking life one sip at a time. Oh, sorry about the angle. I think that part of what happens in my family, I don't want to say bad things about other people, because I love these people, especially my mom. She's my favorite person in the whole world, actually. I might have mentioned that before. But I think in my family, with my sisters, with my aunts and uncles, and with my dad especially, and with my mom even, I think that there's been so much chaos from me, and in my life, I have caused so much chaos in my life, mostly, but that's chaos in their life because they care about me, that they're just used to it by now, and they just expect, and then furthermore, invent the idea that I am the one causing chaos. It's like, in our family, if anything goes wrong anywhere, it's because Matthew has bipolar disorder. Like I said before, my aunt and I used to play this game, and I don't mind if she hears this, because this is the straight up truth. The game is called, I feel terrible, you need to go to the psychiatrist. She would be feeling bad in her own way, hungover, pissed off, whatever. And she would wake up feeling that way and look at me and say, you look like you need to see a psychiatrist today. And I'd be like, you're talking about yourself, not me. But people don't like to hear that. That's for sure. And, my mom and I had a situation like that on Monday where I called her on some bullshit. She was telling a story that had a lie in it, and she admitted it. I mean, I asked her one question and she said, oh yeah, well, that's probably not true. And I believe that she decided to punish me for that. And that's why that's the real reason we went to the psychiatrist and had an emergency meeting on Monday, is because she felt bad because I pointed out a lie, which if I was wise, I would have just let go, but I wasn't. And she decided that because of that, she wanted to make sure that the problem was placed on me, that the locus was on me. In our family, it's kind of like if two cats were fighting each other in Somalia, it would be because of Matthew's bipolar. They'd be like, oh my God, those cats are tearing each other apart. They're ripping each other limb from limb. They're scratching each other's eyes out. It must be because of Matthew's bipolar, And I'm not blaming anybody for having gotten into this pattern, except me, maybe not even me. Let's absolve me even from this. But it is a pattern we've gotten into, I think. And it makes just treating the disease so much more complex, because you have a situation today where, my mom, even after that evaluation of clear bill of health from, not only a clear bill of health, but you're doing fine. She wasn't even worried about me seeing a psychiatrist anytime soon, this evaluator. Of course I want to see one as soon as possible. I want to see one on a regular basis. But she was perfectly fine with me walking the streets. But even after that, my mom's not comfortable with me or my health. She thinks something's wrong. She thinks that I'm not in a good state. And I don't know what to do to convince her otherwise. And you know what I do sometimes? And this is really sick, because I just want to please my mom. Sometimes I text my mom. This is fucked up. And I did it last night. But sometimes I text my mom and I say things that I think will please her, even though they're not true. I think I'm a horrible person or whatever. I say things that I think will fit her model of my perceived sickness that I think she has of me. I say those things so that I'm trying to say something that will fit into her ideas, so that she'll think, oh, I'm pleased with this person because he's saying something I agree with. And then that's fucked up. I should never do that, because of course I should never lie. But that's a lie I do sometimes, is people are like, well, you're fucked up, you're fucked up, you're fucked up. And eventually I say, yeah, you're right, I'm fucked up. Does that please you? Does it make you feel better in this conversation if I'm the sick one? Does it make you feel better to think that because I have bipolar disorder, you're always going to have the upper hand about everything? Fine, I don't care. I don't need the upper hand. You know what I mean? That's not how I value myself and evaluate things. You know what I mean? Who's winning, who's smarter, who's making more money. Obviously, who has more weapons, who has more power, who has more secrets. I don't care about any of that shit. I think about, and this is, maybe this sounds unbelievably altruistic or something, but let me just remind you again, here's my credentials for being altruistic and for being joyful, is that I'm a scumbag, that I'm a former, I hate the word recovering and recovered, whatever, and I'm not former, I'm a drug addict, even though I don't use drugs and I haven't for a decade, but I am a scumbag when it comes to heroin and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I am not exactly your like the grandchild that your grandmother always wanted to have. You know what I mean? Like, I am the grandchild that is your grandmother's worst fucking nightmare. Like, when I got my book published, the one book of the 22 books I've written, I've managed to publish one of them. Is that success? Is that failure? I don't know. But like, when I handed it I gave a copy to my grandmother. When I published it, she read one paragraph, put it down, and she was like, I don't think I can read this, Matthew. You know, like, my book is, like, to me, it's not offensive at all. It's like kind of middle of the road. And now that it's been out for a while, it's kind of stale to me. But like, um, but to her, it's so offensive that she can't even read a whole page of of her grandson's book that got published. The only person in the family that I know that got a book published. Certainly the only person that I even know anywhere who's published 22 books, which isn't to brag, it's just to say that, you know, I'm not like some Leviathan, you know, evil character, blah, blah, blah. And I'm also not like a bump on a log, you know, I'm kind of an interesting person if you get to know me. Um, and personally, I think everybody is, and that's why I love people so much, you know. But and I could go on about that forever. Um, you know what? I think I will. 16, 18. Why the hell not? What else do we have better to do? Let's take another a cup of coffee here. Sip of coffee. Let's take this video one sip at a time. I mean, when I go to the grocery store, I'm not just shopping for groceries. Like, I'm there to meet everybody who works there, you know? And I want to find out their name and what makes them tick. You know, like, I know that Janet at the what is it, the Kroger that we go to, is a writer and wants to write a book but doesn't believe she can, you know? And I believe it's my job in this universe to, not in a heavy-handed and not in an authoritative and not in a paternalistic way, but as in a pure, humble, respectful, cheerleader sort of way. Part of my job in this universe is to encourage Janet to write her book. You know what I mean? And I know that so-and-so in the grocery store has 20 years sober, and, you know, we say just for today to each other when I check out at her station. And, you know, I mean, my point is just that I love people, and which I don't know where that came from, but we're taking this video one step at a time. And I guess I don't mind long YouTube videos, because you can always just stop listening to them. And but anyway, the point of this one is the whole sickness and health. You know, it's I guess I want to illustrate by the fact that my one psychiatrist dumps me because he says my case is too complicated for him to handle, which I believe is true. I don't understand what he means by that exactly, except that he said he needs to consult with other doctors in order to treat me properly. That's all. That's the length of my understanding of why it's too complex. But I believe that he's telling me the truth, even though I don't understand exactly what he means. But then you have that, and you have people at that office looking at me worried, like they think I'm going to kill myself. And then you have my mom, who thinks that I'm, you know, totally manic and like have no idea what I'm saying. And like if I say, well, you know, I remember on Monday I was feeling kind of low. She instantly interrupts and says, well, you've obviously forgotten about Saturday and Sunday. And I'm like, actually, I haven't. I was just about to say I have this graph in my phone that shows the week, including Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you know, and some other days. And I was going to talk about that whole situation, but she's like so on it. She's on the bit. She's chomping on the bit on me about me being crazy. Like when I walked out of that evaluation at Vanderbilt, I said, okay, we're good. We can go. I had the phone number I needed to get my new psychiatrist at Vanderbilt. And she's like, well, no, we can't go. We don't have this. We don't have this. You know, you're not okay, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we're okay to go. If they wanted to keep me here, you wouldn't be looking at me right now, you know? And I just want to illustrate, and I believe I have, but let me take the point home that there's it's beyond subjectivity, but let's just say that there's a lot of subjectivity in this. You know, the one psychiatrist thinks this, the mother thinks this, and the Vanderbilt Medical Center evaluator thinks that I'm perfectly fine and don't need any psychiatric help at this time, but wanted to give me resources so that when I needed it, I could ask for it. And she felt comfortable that I would be able to do that, and I feel comfortable with that too. When I left, I told her, I don't feel like I didn't get what I needed. I don't feel like I'm walking out of here dangerous. Like I really needed more care than you're offering me. You know, I feel like I'm getting the level of care that I need right now, and that feels safe to me. So thank you for helping me feel safe. You but it's beyond. So those are, you could call those three different perspectives, but it's beyond perspective. It's my mother's ability to know me and know my state. My former psychiatrist who calls my case too complex for him to pursue, it's his ability to understand where I'm coming from and who I am and what I'm going through mentally. And then it's Vanderbilt University or Vanderbilt Medical Center, Vanderbilt Enterprises ability to understand where I'm coming from. And those are all different different levels and different types of abilities, you know. And I'm not trying to say one is right and one is not. And all these people are trying to help me, but you know, you got to help people at the right level. Sometimes you help people too much, and it ends up hurting them. You know what I mean? And I think another thing that's really important is to remember that when you help people, you have to respect them. Because if you don't, then they'll just walk out of your life. You know, you have to treat people like people, even when they're ill people. Like, I'm ill. I have bipolar disorder or schizoaffective, or bipolar type schizoaffective disorder, you know, a combination of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. So and I have tardive dyskinesia. I'm clearly ill, but I'm also a person. And if you don't treat me like a person, then one day I'll just be gone. And I don't mean suicide. I mean, I'll move somewhere else or stop talking to you or whatever. You know, you gotta respect people while you're helping them. And that is difficult.